here's one of the ramifications about people being busy and having too many things to pay attention to. Complicated messages are ignored or forgotten. So if it's too complicated, if it takes too much time or energy or anything to understand, people will just filter it out. Okay? So one of the things that you really need to pay attention to when you're crafting some type of message, something that you want people to pay attention to, is that if it's too complicated, then people will just not pay attention to you.
Okay.
Or, they'll pay attention to you, but they'll completely forget what it's about. It's kind of like playing telephone.
Oh,
you ever
right.
done that? It's some
yeah.
complicated message starts at the beginning, and then it randomly morphs into something else by the end. This is one of the reasons.
So simple but catchy?
Simple but catchy is what people remember, which leads us to the concept we're talking about right now, which is called the hook.
The hook?
The hook.
Okay.
And a hook is, think of it like a fishing hook. It's something that grabs something simple and easy, catchy and memorable, that grabs people's attention and communicates some type of benefit at the same time.
Like a slogan?
A little bit.
Okay.
So sometimes, a great example from the publishing industry, actually, one of the books on the personal MBA reading list is Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek. Okay? Now, 4-Hour Workweek, 3 words. What does it say?
Well, it says that life could be a heck of a lot easier than it is right now.
Yep, that's one thing. Life can be easier. 4 hours is a contrast between how much most people work, which is 40 plus hours. What else does it say?
Well, the cover of the book has somebody on a hammock.
There you go. Okay. So it's only 3 words.
Yeah.
But those 3 words...
I see, it conveys a lot.
And not only it does that in an interesting way, in an attention-grabbing way, but it's such a contrast from what most people are experiencing that becomes very attention-grabbing.
Wow.
That's a classic example of a hook.
Wow.
Okay? Another one, 2 words, personal MBA.
True.
What does that say?
Well, it basically says that there's some way to do MBA that's different than it's being done.
Yeah, what does MBA mean?
Means Masters of Business
Administration.
Right.
which is an acronym that implies advanced business education. So one thing, so that establishes the scope, and then personal MBA is a modifier, or personal is a modifier. So it's different from an MBA in what sense?
Okay. Well, that you get to do it on your own terms. And I guess just the modifier is enough to make people interested in MBA-ish things to at least find out what it is.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's a hook. 2 words. Okay? So a hook, single phrase or sentence, and the shorter it is, the better, that communicates information and implies a benefit to make people interested and to help people remember what it is that you do.
I think this can be one of the hardest things to think about.
It is. And it's because, as we talked about in framing, you're trying to communicate context here. You're trying to emphasize certain things, but you don't have a whole lot of time and space to do it.
Right. And you don't want to be super cheesy either.
Exactly. I
don't know.
This is one of the things that it pays to experiment with.
Right. I can see that.
Because, you just kind of have to come up with a lot of ideas in terms of, come up with a list of things like these are the things you want to communicate or imply. And then these are some words or phrases that tend to communicate those things. And then you try a bunch of different combinations to see which ones are most effective and which ones are most economical too. And literally, when I was at P&G, I did a lot of work with advertising agencies.
Right. Yeah.
And a copywriter, this is all they'll do. They'll sit in a room and they'll say, okay, these are the things that my client wants me to communicate. These are the ideas, or these are the benefits, or these are the sentiments that we want to express. And you start listing words.
Wow.
And then you start playing with different combinations of words to figure out, what is the smallest package of things that you can put together that actually conveys what you want it to convey. Okay? So, and the hook can be, in the case of the 4-Hour Workweek or the Personal MBA, a title.
Okay.
It can be a headline or a tagline or whatever. It just has to be a short little snippet that doesn't take a lot of effort to either hear or read
or understand
or think about. But the emotional phrase or the emotional response that you're trying to get from that is like, that's interesting. And woo, I'm interested in that.
Yeah.
4-Hour Workweek.
Sign me up.
Nice. Personal MBA versus some of the other things. Like, yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Really cool. So, when you're creating your hook, the thing is, you can't try to do too much. You can't, and I saw this is kind of the dark side of, advertising agencies working for big companies. Because I remember, and not agreeing with this, but, as part of my job, listing, having a 2-page document of, this is what we want this thing to communicate. And it would be 8 or 9 different things. And I really felt sorry for the copywriters because you just can't do it.
They had to make that come across in 4 words.
Right, exactly. So, when you're creating a hook, the big thing is you don't have to communicate everything in the hook. It's just the primary benefits or the primary reason that someone would be interested in what you've got.
So if it's not your title, I guess you could change them or play with them.
Yes.
Okay.
So, it's emphasize your primary benefit or the primary value you provide. You don't have to include everything.
All right.
But once you've created your hook, and really it is an experimentation process. So try a bunch of different things, see what people respond to. Once you have it, use it, put it everywhere. Your website, your business cards, your anything that you can get that hook in front of other people. Use it. And actually a good way to test this, and this is something I heard probably a year ago. I think it's true. Think of your hook as, if you're watching TV in the evening and the newscaster comes on and they say, how your bed is conspiring to kill you, news at 11.
Yes.
That's a hook. Okay? So if it fits that format.
Oh, great.
It's actually a good hook.
Because it would make people watch through a couple commercial breaks.
That's exactly it.
Okay.
That's why they do it, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
And unfortunately the news does it in a schmarmy way to try to make you feel threatened, so you have to watch the news. But if it fits that format, 4-Hour Workweek. Would you like to work a 4-hour work week? Find out at 11.
Right.
Can you get a personal MBA?
Cool.
Newsletter.
Right.
So
like
that's a good kind of test to see if it works. So experiment, find a hook for what you're trying to do, and you'll find that your marketing communication becomes much more effective because people will find it easier to pay attention to you. They'll want to learn what you've got, and they'll also find it easier to remember and tell other people about it.
Cool.